everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk number 261. Yes, you might have missed it last week. I did actually say I was on holiday, but I'm sorry if you got up especially early or stayed up especially late, any of those things. I was in a caravan in Dorset on the Isle of Purbeck, which was actually really nice, although the weather did turn almost as soon as we left Bath. It didn't turn so badly to ruin the holiday. But anyway, we had a lot of fun. But this week... what did I say? I said it was 2-6. I feel terribly out of practice, I must say. What are we? 261, yeah. And I've got someone in the studio with me. This is Mr. Dave Spiers over here.
Good afternoon.
You might need to just get a little
Closer.
Just a little bit. I'll take the mic amp up a little bit. Just one more word from you.
Good afternoon.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
My radio voice.
The radio voice is absolutely fine. So I just need to adjust that. So yeah, as you can see, everything's not quite as it should be. But also, we have a single Skype week in the form of Mr. Rich Hilton here. Rich Hilton, Hiltonius.com, live from Connecticut, where he's... probably got a limousine waiting outside to take him to man the controls of Nile Rodgers' private studio and make some hits. Is that correct?
Oh, sure.
Good.
I'll go with that. I like the sound of that.
Excellent. How are you, Rich? You well?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Right. Well, this week, funnily enough, actually yesterday, we went to the Gadget Show Live, which was the first time ever, which is kind of a consumer electronics show. And I've never met so many sportsmen in my life. There was one called the Wowie One, which is like a little kind of extra speaker with with the like transducer in it and a piece of gel, and you put it on any surface, and it becomes like a subwoofer. It's amazing. Wow. It sounds like it's it outputs 90 decibels of bass.
Mm.
And the person who was fronting that was a very, very tall man. Called Andrew Caddick, and I was looking at him and going, "I know you from so." Oh, you're a cricketer, aren't you? And honestly, he was about 7 feet tall, and he had hands about this big. So that was, and then I went straight from there to a place, and I saw something called the Doob, which sounds
that's good. Good name.
Which is from Dion Dublin, which is a square cube thing which you hit. It's like is it a cajon? A cajon, or they call it, but it has 4 sides, so they're each all pitched. So they're like congas or bongos, depending on the side. Really good idea. Cool. And he was a Premiership footballer from Norwich City. He was a very nice man. So anyway, I just wanted to get out of the way. Footage will be coming up. I've got a few things to go in the Sonic Touch show, which will be coming on sometime somewhere. Anyway, that's all I have to say really. I forgot to put this up for you, Dave. So there you go, Dave Spiers, GForce Software.com with your lower third.
Thank you. I need that.
Excellent. I'm sure you feel a lot better. Right. Now, let me see what's first. First is... we're becoming anonymous, isn't it? That was... I was a bit disturbed about this. This is... I found this, which is the Music Producers Guild, which is credit where credit's due, and it's who played bass on track 7. It's the idea of the idea is essentially they're a little concerned, the Music Producers Guild, even this is an older post and it may have been addressed a little bit, that even with the advance of all of this metadata that can go along with all the MP3s and all the downloads, everything's obviously going digital, there is unfortunately no room, or at least the data is not being put in for like who played on what track, who played what on what track, who produced it, who mixed it, where it was recorded, and all of these credits are just being lost in time. And I myself have been victim of those things. I worked on a remix I was really proud of, and there's just no record of me being on it anywhere because it's just a digital file, and I felt a bit disappointed by that. And I just wondered, this is actually quite a big deal, really. I mean, there's quite a shift because, when I was kind of getting into music and wondering who did what on various records, it was a real pointer and helped me kind of go, I'll check more of their work because I like what they do. Yeah. And that's kind of, are we losing all of that? I mean, is that an issue, do you think? Dave?
It has been. I think it really has been. I know. I'm in exactly the same situation. Particularly as a muso, kind of growing up, you'd see who played on that, and then you kind of go and try and explore more of their work and other albums, and then that way it would kind of introduce you to other artists and other genres of music. And it was all a really brilliant kind of learning experience. And I've always thought that was kind of sad, really, once we started to lose that in the kind of digital download age. However, and I'm really sorry I didn't bring it with me, I did see something about 10 minutes after you sent me all of these topics. I did see something, and there's an attempt to redress this, and I can't remember, which is why I'm apologising, who it was that's been doing this. And I think it's a kind of user thing, where people who are kind of fans go, right, okay,
It might be this site, because I found this one, which was
Albumcredits.com.
albumcredits.com.
Yes.
I did a vanity search for myself, but perhaps more on that later. I don't know, Rich, do you think this is an issue? I mean, I'm guessing you're probably, from your point of view, it's not not getting you any work or whatever, because people probably know who you are and you'd get work through that way. But I mean, this is quite a big deal, isn't it? Like no record really, unless you really want to go and look for it, of all of this stuff.
Well, it is a shame. And I do miss, as a fan, that aspect of the experience of sitting down and being able to look at that. But why haven't the artists taken it upon themselves to post comprehensive websites for each of their album releases then?
That's a good point. Do you think they just want all the credit? It's all about the brand? Secretly, all these years, all they've wanted to do is pretend that it's all them.
Well, there is an aspect, I mean, as silly as it sounds, there is some aspect of that apparent in our business anyway, where people aren't visible on stage that are making musical contributions to live shows, or you don't have a screen showing the Pro Tools session that's playing the artist's album that you already bought while they're all dancing down on stage. There's no but I mean, as far as credit goes, I think we all agree that the right thing in life to do is to give people credit where it's due. And it would be nice to be recognized for all the things we do. And that said, I've learned through experience that the work had better be its own reward, because sometimes that happens. In my case, most times it's happened. But quite often it doesn't, or sometimes it doesn't at the very least. And you can't always count on the fact that it will. So the work does have to be its own reward on some level.
Redwalk says we need a wiki. It could possibly be called a credicky, which is quite a good play on words there. I wonder, I mean, the thing is though, you make all of these EPKs, there's lots of press and downloadable material that people, behind the scenes and what have you, that goes up on YouTube. I wonder if there could be a kind of like almost a way of utilizing that. So it could be as part of a download, you get an extended thing where there'd be, that extra data in there, and perhaps a little bit of a kind of, this is where we got that great drum sound or whatever. I mean, is there any, but I mean, I suppose most people aren't interested, like pure pop fans probably don't give a monkeys, do they, about that kind of stuff?
But in this age of portable computing and mobile devices, all you have to do is make it available online.
Right.
You don't even have to hand them a card that has this information on it anymore. All you have to do is have it coherently available online on the artist's website, one click away. And then you could credit people if that's what you were so, inclined to do.
Funny, sometimes people get a bit upset at being credited.
Well, it depends whether you're proud of your work or not. I'm not sure I'd want my my work done on the what was it? It was a line dance album where I did some really ghastly house versions of country music, dueling banjos being one of them, and Ghost Riders in the Sky, to be fully publicly available. Oops, I've said it now.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing. Then it becomes, a joke, a drinking story. It doesn't remain this like embarrassing moment in your life. It becomes, hey, and check this out,
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I mean, it's interesting. I looked at I did a vanity search here, and the one thing that, just looking at this, although there's a really hilarious thing on here. Where is it? I did, where was it? I've done vocals on something. I was just trying to find that because I thought that was pretty amusing. Oh, yeah. Apparently on the Corgis collection, which I did some remixes on, I'm credited with vocals. Which,
wow.
I mean, I didn't know I could sing that well. But
you get paid better that way. On the resids, you do. Then if you're just the engineer or the mix guy, unless you have a special deal, you'll get paid better as a singer. So maybe that's how that happened.
I don't recall ever seeing anything specifically, but yeah,
that's good because I think I'm the singer with the Sex Pistols tribute band somewhere.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, that's good.
The something Pistols, I can't remember what they're called.
I've
even had emails from people saying, "Oh, excuse me, are you really the?"
So what's your stage name, Dave? Is it Johnny something or other?
No, it's Dave Spiers.
Johnny Forgotten.
That's who it is. Yeah.
Johnny Forgotten.
Johnny never bothered in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, but actually when you see, I mean, purely from that sort of vanity search point of view, what it did, what it does do is highlight. If you've been working for a long time, you get this really long timeline. In fact, on here, one thing that was quite cool was this sort of thing at the top where you get, decades of when you worked, and there's a big peak here. But actually, I should have a whole load in the 90s as well, but it obviously hasn't been entered. But to enter, unfortunately, if I want to edit my profile, I'll click that now and see what happens. Yeah, I can fill it all in, but it's going to cost me $12.95 a month or $100 a year to correct those the wrong facts. But anyway,
almost worth doing it for somebody that you're not partial to, isn't it? Just filling it out completely incorrectly. There you go. I've set the cat amongst the pigeons there.
There's a thought. It's like a paid for. It's almost like what you can do with Wikipedia, but you pay for the. And presumably, once you've registered as you and you've claimed yourself, then you are, if in effect, the owner of that and the gatekeeper of that information, and you then become that. So if the real Nick Batt comes along, then I'm sorry, that's not you, and I could be prosecuted for attempting to be myself. I don't know. It's an interesting idea.
Fantastic.
I know, but seriously, I mean, I think there's got to be room for this. I mean, and I know that, or I've seen rumours that the iTunes store is being totally redesigned, which is about time, frankly. So maybe there's going to be, because it's going to take somebody like Apple adding this extra information and maybe making it a requirement for submitting tracks to kind of transfer maybe original sleeve notes from recordings that are older where they do exist, or and presumably this database, it looks like it comes out of one of the PRS or PPL ones, and there is just a data or matching those things or something along those lines that just means it gets pulled together.
Didn't All Music do something like this years ago? I seem to remember there was a website called All Music, I think, and that was a kind of credits station. I seem to remember getting a couple of emails asking, because somebody read some notes, and it was like, oh, were you involved in this, and did you do this kind of thing? And I remember having a look at the site and thinking, oh, quite interesting.
No, I didn't know that.
If I was going to argue anything, there is a really interesting aspect to not being credited. Whilst as a kid, I loved reading and going off on all these kind of tangents, exploring people's careers and stuff. There is another aspect to not being credited in that it's actually quite fun, because sometimes, like, I tend to dip in and out of projects with artists, so I never play a kind of pivotal role. And sometimes it's quite interesting to see whether you're credited, when you're credited, when you get the call for do you want the credit, and all of those kind of things, because you can kind of see where you come in the pecking order. I quite like that.
Well, the other thing I quite like is, it's obviously plain for all to see, and it supports your own theory that their greatest work was when you were involved.
Of course.
And when your involvement ceased, then they stopped having hits, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, it's usually the other way around with me.
Yeah. We want to hire Dave for an obscure art triple album, which is just made purely out of pebbles landing in water.
Jazz Odyssey, 97.
Yeah.
Now that's what I call Jazz Odyssey.
But I'm guessing really that there is the opportunity for this. I mean, because you, as a performer, if you've performed or been involved in any recording and you have to put down the facts, if you're a member of the Musicians Union or any of those other things, you write it all down. So there is a database. I mean, it's not a million miles away. I mean, obviously, it's not going to happen that we're going to be involved in every single APK and press piece of, be asked to be involved in that. But it'd be nice to have a bit more inclusion, because now it's just gone. There's just nothing there. And unless you're a kind of superstar producer, in which case you're going to be...
Sorry, I just saw that comment from Jam Jar Jimmy on your thing about Clive Dunn. And it was Herbie Flowers, Walk on the Wild Side, and then doing that with Grandad. I spoke to Herbie Flowers at a gig, and I asked him about Grandad, and he said, it's a completely tangential point. I said, so what made you think of writing a song like Grandad? And he said, I had it in my head for quite a while, and he's a cantankerous old bugger, and I really liked him. And he said, I had it in my head for a while, but I couldn't think of the hook. So I rang my mate, and I've got a feeling it was somebody like Tony Hatch who came round and rang the doorbell, and I went, there's the hook. Ding dong, Grandad.
He had one of those little 72-tone bell things. Yeah, I remember those. You can't buy them anymore.
And now I can't listen to that record, even though I listen to it several times a day. I can't listen to it without thinking the doorbell's
somebody's at the door. Right, we are getting a bit tangential here, but maybe this is a good time to say a word from our sponsors. Unless, Rich, you have anything else to say? I mean, it seems like a good point at which to hit them up. So I'll press the button now. And you'll be able to see here that if you're watching the video stream of the show, which I heartily recommend that you do, because it's unedited and you get all the bits that we can't put on iTunes if we want to stay PG friendly. This is an ad. What am I doing? I'm going off a tangent once again. Anyway, this is the 01V96i from Yamaha, compact digital console. Very pleased to have them as sponsors of the show. We really do appreciate their continued support of Sonic Talk. Goodness knows we could do with more people like Yamaha supporting Sonic Talk so we can live the lives that we're accustomed to. But this is essentially a 40-channel compact digital mixing desk. It's got tons of DSP on board. The VCM effects alone give you a whole bunch of extra processing power. It means you can take out the computer out of the equation. It's got... what has it got? It's got VCM effects, master strip, channel strip, vintage stomp effects, RevX reverb, things like compression, EQ, modeled EQ, 40 mixing channels, 32 mono and 4 stereo, 16 analog and 8 digital inputs, 8-channel ADAT-IO optical interface, and that as standard. You're not using one of your slots with that. 24-bit 96K AD-DA converters, 8 auxes, 100mm motorized faders, 4 effects simultaneously. Advanced DAW support, obviously it integrates well with Steinberg's. You get AI with it anyway. And you get Studio Manager V2 support. V96Is can be cascaded, so you can have 2 together, which means that you're going to get a whole bunch of channels in a very compact space. So once again, we do thank Yamaha for their continued sponsor of the show. I've got this little bit.ly URL, which I constructed specially for them, because that's the kind of service we like to provide here at Sonic Talk. It's bit.ly/01V96i. So once again, thank you very much to Yamaha for the continued sponsorship of the show. Right, let's come back to me. Have I switched the right channels on? Rich, would you speak momentarily?
Woof.
Yes, thank you very much. That is, in fact, correct. So what was next? Oh, yeah, there's a new Ultravox album. Let's play the EPK. See, there's people in the background from this one. Oh, Jesus. Jesus, or there would have been if I pressed the right button. Actually, the next topic... what is that one then? Where is it? That's not it at all. No, here it is.
Yeah, I just messed about with this. I was doing it yesterday. The third chord in your sequence of 4 is not bad. I like it.
No, I mean, I've been doing quite a bit, but then I can get something going like I have been just now, and I'll go off and I'll come back and they've completely changed it. Like this first track, not completely changed it, but what I can tend to do is, luckily, Midge and Chris are interested in some of the chords I come up with. I mean, they could be sort of not interested, but they are. So that's great, and that's a real boost for me, again, after all these years, you know. And that's lovely, you know. And I can make the form and the bones and the feeling through the note.
I won't play it all, but that was an excerpt. It's a kind of behind-the-scenes thing of them just working together. They haven't worked together. I think they worked together in 1990 very briefly, but this is a 11th studio album released 28th of May with obviously the original lineup: Billy Currie, Chris Cross, Warren Cowan and Midge Ure. And did I say it was coming out on the 28th? And funnily enough, it's actually signed to EMI, which I didn't think anybody was signed to EMI anymore. I thought they didn't exist practically at a label, allegedly. Dave, I know you've got kind of contacts with Billy and Midge and stuff. I mean, you got any inside knowledge on this whole process or what's going on?
I know they decamped to Canada for a while, I think, to do this. In fact, it looked like it.
Yeah, that was
they
like
were
a
on
log
the
cabin
lakeside.
somewhere.
Yeah. No, other than, you know, I'm not involved in this. I did help out with setting up the live tour that happened a couple of years ago. And then I knew they were going in to write a new album. I mean, the tour went amazingly well. I went to the Roundhouse, I think was the last gig of the tour. And I mean, it was just like, the 80s are back. It was absolute bedlam in there. And it was a really good fun gig, actually, and very well done. And, I know Billy and I know Chris. Chris used to live in a village very close to me, and I'd lived there forever, and I had no idea until I started helping out on the live stuff. And then, in fact, he's moved down this way now, so he's joined the other contingent.
I wonder because, I mean, essentially, Ultravox are probably singularly known for Vienna, which is a 1980 recording.
Yeah.
Very stark, very atmospheric electronic music with a kind of, atmospheric video. And you just got to think, 30 odd years later, you're sort of, I wonder if there's going to be a lot of expectation that's unlikely to be lived up, because people have lived a lot of life between now and then, and they're probably not into being moody teenage kind of people.
Yeah, I think from a fan's perspective, this is an album that people thought would never happen. In fact, even that tour people thought would never happen. You know, Billy and Midge weren't the best of mates for many years. But Billy's amazing. He's amazingly... I mean, he was properly classically trained and stuff, so he's quite an amazing musical character. And he's constantly put out solo albums and stuff like that. So I think... I'm kind of really interested to see what happens here, because the gigs were quite something. And even if you're not a kind of Ultravox fan, just to witness those people go that mad over, you know, All Stood Still, and just that they were so... I mean, it was literally like all the hits. And I was like, oh, yeah, because I didn't realise they'd done this. Oh, yeah, I've forgotten they'd done this. And the sound was great. Of course, I have to say that. But no, it was a really good event. And I'm kind of interested, like everyone's gone off on their kind of solo things, and I'm really interested as to how this will kind of happen within a band environment again, and whether those old constraints will make things gel in a kind of new way, or, you know, with a hint of the old.
I don't know. I mean, I nearly went to see Ultravox once, but I couldn't make it in the end. And I noticed from your comments in the chat room, Rich, that you are almost completely unaware of Ultravox. I think it must have been... I'm pretty sure it was a US hit as well, Vienna, wasn't it? It was number one or number two.
Well, it wasn't number one, was it? It got knocked off number one by Shut Up to Your Face. I think that's the thing that kept it off, which, of course, you know, I love to remind them about every 5 minutes.
I share something in common with them, because I got teenage... Oh, I was either Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Timmy Mallet that kept me from that. So I can understand the pain of being kept off the number one slot by a novelty song.
Yeah. But I mean, Vienna was just massive. And of course, Warren went out to the States, and he's very good friends with Hans Zimmer. And so I think Warren's kind of... In fact, they alluded to it in that video, didn't they, that Warren will probably dip in and out of this album.
Right.
He's got his own life in LA.
Right.
But just really cool guys, actually really cool guys. Chris, I absolutely love, and Billy, I absolutely love. You know, Billy's been great to us over the years, and
yeah,
I've got nothing but nice things to say.
Didn't he have kind of input on the Oddity? Because he was
well, he used the Oddity. I mean, basically the live stuff was Oddity, Mini Monster, String Machine, Oscar, but the Oscar was his real kind of baby, and he's been down to see us a few times, and he's just a real character and just got tons and tons of really interesting stories. I mean, they just went massive. Don't forget they did that Montserrat album, didn't they? And things just... I love this idea of a band being this unit, and then all this stuff happening to them and making them behave and react in what could be described as pretty strange ways. But then, you know, all these kind of things happening to this unit, and then everybody going off and doing their own thing. And then this moment where it's like, actually, we're going to do this again. And it's not a money thing. It was a bit serendipitous, I think, from what I understand. There was something to do with an EMI 25th anniversary, or maybe it was the 25th anniversary of one of their albums or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And something just happened, and this spark happened.
Oh, well, that's good. I know, Rich, I'm guessing I already know that Ultravox probably don't figure large in your musical repertoire history of memories. But, I mean, do you think that can it ever be good? A reformation when you've got such a kind of a sound of its time coming back together so much later. I mean, I know it worked really well with John Foxx. I mean, that album was absolutely genius. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, there's two questions that you're asking. One is, can it be any good? And the other is, can it be anything like it used to be?
Yeah, I guess so.
And will it therefore appeal to the fans of what it used to be? And I'm all in favor of people getting back together and rediscovering some kind of creative spark around whatever it is they're doing now. And typically, people find it less enthusiasm generating the second time around, at least as I observe it happening in the world. But I still think it's important for people to do it. And you were just beginning a discussion about the logistics of a reunion, a 25th anniversary or whatever, and that bringing them back. And it's often some kind of catalyst like that, where, you know, they've gone their separate ways because they got just completely sick of each other or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then there comes a point in your life where you remember the good things more than you remember the bad things. And you know you want to remember the good things more than you remember the bad things. And you look back on your life and you realize what some of the best times were dealing with those people who ultimately became so much more difficult to deal with later on. And you basically want to rekindle the good parts of that and keep away from the bad parts of it. And lots of people have tried it and done it. And I think it's a good thing for a person to do in their life, to look back that way and to want to create something new again with those people with whom you shared those exciting moments.
Yeah, I that's a good way
That
of looking at
band
it.
vibe with that, sharing those kind of crazy experiences and then just it leading to all sorts of weirdness. And I mean, at some point you have to return to reality. And then I love the idea of exploring that, 20 odd years or 25 years on, kind of going, did that? Because there's loads of things that have happened to me that I kind of think, did that really happen? And within a band or even in a kind of personal, and when you actually get together with somebody, I can't even remember. I was talking to my mum about something the other day, and I was like, I carried a coffin down Falls Road in Belfast for a mile. And I was like, did I really do that? And she was like, yeah, because she was there. And it was like, but within a band context where you've got all those extra kind of ingredients going on,
Right.
all of those things I find really fascinating.
Well, again, in all those bad times, as my friend David Lee Roth once wrote, become drinking stories.
Yeah.
And then it's fun. Then you can share it. And, oh, is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Of all these years, I thought you were talking about, that kind
Yeah.
of thing, and it turns into this really great social experience for all involved. And at this point in our lives, I think that's more and more important.
Getting ready for the I remember when it is important. Remember, because I can't remember a lot of it. My mum tells me stuff that she remembers and I just think, what? I don't remember. And I didn't lead a kind of a substance abuse kind of lifestyle, and I don't know where those memories have gone at all. I mean, some of them are just completely vanished, and so yeah, maybe good for that kind of thing. But yeah, I wish them luck, and I think it would be good to hear what it's like. I mean, I'm imagining from there was a very brief clip at the end of that video which sort of implied that it had gone more safe and perhaps more about the song than about the atmosphere and the sound. Whereas I think that the John Foxx stuff that we heard was just really brutal noise, which I really liked.
Yeah,
I liked the fact that he didn't lose, and he was still really kind of tuned into that just kind of world of sound, and it still sounded very current and now rather than just being a little less.
I like that hint of the hint of nostalgia. The bit where you kind of go, oh, what does that remind me of? And
Right.
you can almost kind of smell it. Not where it's in your face, but that kind of, yeah.
Anyway, right. Well, what's next then? Oh, does anyone? We could do. Oh, I think this is actually quite cool. Now, what's this? Is this number 2? Yeah, let's have a look at this.
휘어지고 펼쳐지고 (3D에) 양방향 통역까지.
Why is it that you have to have a ukulele on every single advert in the world at the moment? Anyway, that's really not nothing to do. That is the Samsung flexible AMOLED display, which looks really cool. Obviously, that's a mock-up to an extent because there's no computer in that because it's just a piece of cellophane, effectively. But is that a really cool idea? It's coming as, apparently. This is from Samsung. It's flexible AMOLED display, and it's going to be happening in around about. I think I've got a web page up here. 2012. They're actually going to be coming out with some in a product, and I just thought, is there any use of this in our world? Can you think of anything that would make it really cool? I suppose you could wrap it around a sphere or something. I mean, anyone excited about this, or am I really clutching at straws? I would like to say actually that. We were expecting a guest on this week that didn't work out, so that's why my topics are perhaps a little substandard. Before there's a disclaimer. I know, Rich. What do you think?
I don't think this is a substandard topic.
Good, thank you. That's very kind of you to say so.
I found it fascinating what apparently Samsung and LG are working on in display technology, and in the same article. It mentioned that LG was closer to some kind of paper-like interface. I don't know. They're going for something incredibly thin.
Oh, wow. No, this is called, this doesn't sound very good, Liquavista Electro-Wetting Display. And flexible e-paper displays are for the LG ones, yeah.
Well, they need a little help with the branding, perhaps.
It sounds a bit like something for a toddler. transitioning to school life, perhaps.
Yes.
I know. So, musically, what kind of uses could you see this for? I could wrap it round stuff. I was thinking it's really cool, and then I thought, yeah, but what for?
I did exactly the same, and then I thought, oh God, it's going to be paper bags that talk to you when you buy shit in the shop, stuff in the shop, and then carrier bags that talk to you when you buy things in the shop.
Packaging.
It's going to be a nightmare.
I think there are tremendous performance opportunities here because you can hardly see the thing. And if you mount it right, you can have video showing up in all the wackiest places at the wackiest times. It can be wrapped around something. It could be moving. It'll seem like almost holography from the audience if you do it right.
What, for a projection kind of idea?
Yeah, you could do some very, very interesting because you can't see that it's a screen unless you reflect light off of it. But in other words, when it's not active, it should be almost undetectable. Now, whether it is,
I wonder how bright it could be. I mean, obviously that mock-up made it look like it was as bright as sunlight in an outside environment, but I wonder if there's actually anything like the truth.
I liked when he turned it horizontal and a birthday cake showed up on top.
Not only that, but it also it will produce 3D objects like a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, if you could reach into the thing and pull stuff out like money, that would be really good.
Yeah, no, that's that's the use that we're all hoping for, isn't it? Really, you just reach in and pull money out.
It's essentially like the hole in the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. You remember Ringo found a hole in his pocket, and he pulled it out and he started laying it on things, and then you could go through that thing that he laid the hole on. Yeah, it's kind of the same.
I'd like to say Phineas and Ferb used that as well in some very good in a rather good episode there. But that's aside. No, Dave, synthesizers, any application, or really is it more likely to be on the outside of the box, calling to you than it is to actually in the use of it?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, if this happens, they shouldn't be allowed to sell it to marketing people or anything that tries to sell you stuff. It should be for creative use only, and that would make things a lot more interesting. I can't stand it when you're standing in a post office queue. All you want is a stamp, and you've got this screen going, buy something,
Have you thought about your pension?
Yeah, no. Well, you're going to live a sad and lonely old life. I mean, it just brings out the old curmudgeon in me. Technically, though, quite fascinating. Got a lot of potential.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting that we can't... actually, stamps made out of it. There's a thought.
Yeah.
But I wonder, because obviously, that demonstration was amazing. But I'm guessing there has to be some form of connector and some massive video processing unit to drive that level of display. I don't know, but maybe not.
Where's it going to go?
Yeah.
Well, right, and then where would you store it in the perimeter? Like that's the most obvious way to store it, unless you can make it transparent.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's already throwing up a load of price. It's kind of like you can, but why would you? It's one of those, isn't it? Really, I'm sure some smart person will come up with a brilliant concept. Because I mean, I agree, Rich. Live, it could work, but I'm just wondering how bright it would be. Because you remember that that thing that we saw, I forget the name, Amon Tobin, that amazing screen set, which was all projected. Rather than projecting, you just have them on all the faces of the stuff, and it would.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be really interesting then for that sort of thing. Yeah.
Amon Tobin for beginners.
Yeah, or wallpaper. Have wallpaper made out of it, so that your house, the room that you're in, could just become something completely different depending on what you felt like.
That would be quite neat. Yeah, you see, putting the hands of creative people, not marketing men.
I can't imagine that a sort of 3 metre by 2 metre size. It might be getting a bit expensive at that.
£25 a square foot.
£25 a square foot. Yeah, that's all you need. Excellent.
Yeah, but you put one behind each, like a monolithic version of this thing behind each band member on stage, and you're able to light to create backgrounds for each one.
Yeah.
Customized background. It could be cool. I mean, I can imagine stage designers a lot more adept than me finding cool ways to use this.
Well,
kind
that's
of
an interesting idea. Yeah. Actually, I mean, I think you're right though, Dave. I think ultimately we're probably just going to see it at trade shows on stands.
Yeah,
shouting stuff at you as you walk past.
And it's no good. When you're trying to hold up the bank, it puts you off.
Now hold it right there.
Yeah, young man. Right. Well, anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting and a sort of an aside, but I'm sure they're going to be... I mean, maybe we'll end up with kind of unusually shaped instruments that have a display like that. That'd be interesting. Anyway, we'll see.
I like the idea of putting that over your face and making you look younger or more attractive. Quite good,
Just
isn't
get
it?
a mask that's fitted. And like I can have
and
it
it
on the
moves,
top of my
right?
head that would just emulate hair.
I'll be joining you.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, that was cool. Right. So what's the next? Let me see. This is the Tone 2 Saurus. I think I've got an MP3 somewhere. I'll start with that, and then I'll try perhaps this one. This is Mark Mosher. This is how I saw it, actually, because I follow Mark on Twitter. He's always posting some interesting stuff, and this is him playing the Tone 2 Saurus, which is a new soft synth, which has various properties. Is it two oscillators each with a sub, multi-mode filter, built-in effects. Call it. I'm going to switch to this. They that's the screen of it there. But they basically seem to be pushing this as their with their own kind of analog emulation and engine, isn't it? So it's got what do they call it? It's true analog modeling technology, which they call it. I mean, they have a various series of waveforms and all that kind of stuff going on the screen. And marketing and what have you is all marvelous. But it seems to be generating a bit of interest, and I just wonder if anyone's in. I mean, it's not massively different to anything else, perhaps other things. Does it appeal to you, Rich? I mean, it's not. I think it's £90. It's quite expensive. Quite an expensive synthesizer.
Sounded good, and that doesn't seem like that much, but £90.
Yeah, I suppose it's not, is it? I suppose I'm just used to seeing so much stuff that's almost, next to nothing.
Maybe so.
But your stuff is how much is yours, Dave?
There you go.
I can't remember. 149 euros or something like that.
So it is, I suppose it is reasonably cheap, low cost, I suppose. But yeah, it just seems to be generating a bit of interest. I mean, I haven't had a chance to download the demo or anything, but always nice to kind of put something up about a new instrument. Let me see what else it's got in it. It's various modes, syncable oscillators, pulse width mod on all oscillators. I do like that on oscillators that are not square, on wave shapes that are not square. How does that work, though? Because, I mean, surely pulse width modulation is only for square wave. Do you have to emulate it?
They'll do wave shape modulation, I think, rather than there isn't a pulsed width to modulate, but there is a wave that you can change the shape of.
Right. So you sort of move the peak around, I guess, or something like that.
And you occasionally see a synth, and I love this actually, and in fact, the Multimoog has this, with a continuously variable wave shape knob, which you can sweep between wave shapes. And I love when you can modulate that. Yeah,
actually, that reminds me of the Poly KB Zills Lab that I
really nice kind of animated things with a single oscillator and not have to chorus it up and do that kind of thing. It's very nice.
That does sound good. I do like that as in a synth. I do like that in a synth.
I do like that.
Dave,
good. Sounded good.
Sounded all right.
I don't like any of this.
I think Dave was perhaps put off by the marketing claims.
Acronyms and all that kind of just doesn't do anything for me. Just be straight. But it did sound good, and they got a great reputation. And actually, to my mind, hats off for making a 2 VCO synth, because everybody at the minute's like, it's got to have 57 VCOs, and they've all got to be detunable and unison. Whereas actually, you can do an awful lot with 2, and I know that each of them have got a sub. And they've got a great reputation.
The subs are multi-wave as well. That's interesting. I didn't notice.
Yeah,
that.
that's interesting.
That's an interesting thing. And you've got a change. You can change the phase. If I can I make that any bigger? No, you can change the phase of the sub oscillator. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So it's got a few unique features. I'd like to have a play around with it, but like I say, Mark Mosher, who's a giggy musician, follow him quite a lot on Twitter. He's making lots of patches and stuff, so I expect we'll probably see there's not much demo stuff on YouTube. There are a couple of MP3 demos, which there's one vintage and one modern.
I did check those out, yeah.
Which have a little bit more to offer, I think, in terms of what you can actually hear from it, unless you download the demo.
I might do that because their examples were all vaguely Roland-y. And as much as I like that, I'd like to know what else it sounds like. And that all kind of sounded, I don't know, it like I said, it reminded me more of Roland than of the Moog Oberheim, world.
That's very interesting you should say that, because when we were playing here, Dave was playing on the JP80, which is currently in residence here, and he said that it had a sort of similar characteristic to the to the Saurus.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I think it's the aggression, isn't it? It's the sort of in your face kind of really sort of front and center, which perhaps is a characteristic of other synthesizers. Perhaps not so new, Roland. Anyway,
It's a bit virusy.
I hear it as a characteristic of the mid-range, the area from like 2K to 8K, and the way it presents there.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I've been working a lot, using a lot of synth, which are really, really present. So for me, when I kind of checked the demo out, the MP3 demos, I was like, oh, where's all that kind of presence gone? It all seems a bit kind of fizzy. Whereas, I don't know, maybe it's just the kind of the mode I'm in at the minute.
Well, you just posted something, and you on was that your
my Synth Jam
your
thing,
Synth Jam?
yeah. Which was a kind of mixture of hardware and software and stuff, which I just, it was an exercise in seeing how well things work together. But still maintaining that kind of very presence is the only way I can describe it. John, our programmer, would kill me for such a description.
Does it have to have something a bit more specific?
Yeah, Rich did much better than me.
The je ne sais quoi.
Those K things he talked about.
Anyway, tone2.com. That's tone with the number 2.com, and you see it there. What else has it got? Let me see. Ooh, 4 stereo unison modes with spread and panning control. Oh, I like the sound of that. What else have we got here? I'm trying to see in the list. Optional psychoacoustic processing. Interesting. Yeah, so worth checking out. And there seem to be, there's a number of instruments coming along. I'm still waiting to get a mini brute here. Seems everybody else in the world happens to have one and is posting videos, but not us. So I'm wondering what that says. Does that say something? Does that say something about us or them? I'm not sure, but anyway, if anyone important at Arturia listens to this, you should get one over, because I occasionally know what I'm talking about.
It's certainly captured the zeitgeist at the moment, isn't it?
Anyway, what's next? Oh, sweet electronic music repository. Why ever not? This was Network Awesome. I didn't actually have anything. Did I have something lined up to play here? Oh, yes, I did. I thought this was hilarious. Anyway.
So, welcome to Big Love 96, where Aphex Twin's just been playing exclusively. Now, I've been watching it out there. It was insane, by the way. There was these bears on stage, a bit more lively than they are now. And I was trying to watch it, and I had to walk away after a while because the strobes were just so intense. Is that like that for you on stage as well, or you just don't see it? It's all out there.
No, I'm well used to strobes. I've been looking at them for about 10 years, so I don't actually notice them anymore.
I wish I could tell you that. So what exactly were you doing on stage? It was like you were like lying down almost with this weird little computer and some twiddling some knobs. What were you actually doing?
Relaxing.
Brilliant. One of those classic non-participatory interviews that you get from time to time, and the fact that it being Aphex Twin, who is never ever on camera anymore unless he's doing one of his own videos. But there's a bit later on he just smiles, and it's just like, whoa, he actually looks really scary in real life. So when all the window licker stuff where they did this really weird stuff of putting his sort of big bearded grinning head on top of fit women dancing in bikinis was really disturbing, and it just brought back all those memories, and it was just a bit kind of but anyway, that's beside the point. It wasn't about them at all. It was about this, which is this network electronic music network. Awesome it is, and there's an electronic music week, which was something that Peter Kern posted on Create Digital Music, and there's a whole collection of sort of really a lot of the stuff we've seen before and maybe covered, but there's also an awful lot of stuff that I haven't. There's just various different kind of bits, documentary Moog, the Jean-Jacques Perry, I've Got a Secret of him playing the is that the Mellotron? No, what was it? What did he play?
Ons Martineau.
Ons Martineau, that's right, sorry. And just loads and loads of it all in one place, playlisted up, and the Giorgio Moroder collection. I'm very tempted to click on that just because his style is just something that I cannot resist. And, all of that kind of stuff. And it was just a really cool repository of bits there. And that was the first one that struck me, because I've never seen that before.
What's that, Soul Clap?
I don't know.
Like
Soul
STD.
Clap. It does, doesn't it? Let's have a look. Soul Clap. Oh, look, there's an S900 in the background there. 909. I'm guessing it's got something to do with house music. Yes, Favourite house music, Daft Punk's Electric. I know. Did you get a chance to look at any of this, Dave?
I didn't. I'm really sorry. No, I didn't. I called it up the page, but Safari then crashed.
It's going to be a very short topic, this one, I think.
Yeah. It's good to have it all in one place, though.
Yes, but something that's well worth it. So networkawesome.com/special/electronic music week with dashes in between those words. Rich, did you get a chance to check any of these out? Any of these catch your eye, or am I going to have to talk a lot?
No, I watched Clara Rockmore for a while this morning. I listened even when I wasn't watching.
Oh, what was she? Clara, was she the theremin player?
Absolutely.
That is a wicked
amazing.
Picture. She looks like a very scary lady.
That's a picture from the video. She actually talks to you and then announces the songs and then plays them with a piano accompanist. And it's essentially a classical presentation with a sort of a slightly ugly square wave tone being purveyed very competently by...
I think we should play it. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a long intro, so I'll help you out with that.
Hold on. Oh, it is, isn't it? There's loads.
No, there's one more. Now after this, you'll want to roll in about, I don't know, half a minute at least.
Okay.
Because it takes a minute to get going.
by Afron.
There you go. Not hearing anything, Nick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here you go. Now you want to focus on the woman playing.
Right.
Yeah. Not
coming.
Not, there you go. Pan, quick, go on. Cameraman struggling with the enormous 1950s tripod to try and get the... Wow. That is cool. There's a certain amount of Fanny Craddock in there, I would say, wouldn't you? That's probably something you wouldn't reference you would not get, but there's a very formidable lady from the 1960s who did a cookery show who is... not universally, but certainly nationally held up as a kind of a very strong woman, shall we say?
Scary.
What was the name of her husband?
Oh yeah,
He'd always be sort of,
Yeah.
come on, yeah,
Drinking.
just put that down, go away. Yeah, and yeah, she strikes me as perhaps
Well.
somebody who would be capable of that sort of behaviour.
It's like the old woman version of the Galloping Gourmet, but with less energy.
Pretty sure that Clara Rockmore's husband was Lev Theremin.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the case, but I could be wrong.
Well, no, they met, didn't they, when they were very young, and then he was abducted back by the KGB, wasn't he?
Yeah,
gosh,
there
yeah,
was
that's
And they
all-
met years and years later, and it was an absolutely stunning film.
Yeah.
I will never forgive my ex-business partner's wife for taping over my version of it with Top Gun.
Oh, God. Theremin to Top Gun, although...
this was an amazing story. I mean, it really was just an amazing
Although that...
thing.
No. It's got a bit more texture than the square wave.
There was this bit at the end, where it all ends, and then it was like, oh my God, she's taped over the story of the theremin.
Isn't that fit? Is it actually called Theremin, if I remember correctly? I'm sure we've talked about it in the past, and I know that it was mentioned
Brilliant.
early in Sonic Talk's history, I probably think.
Yeah, very moving, really brilliant. I recommend everybody find it and watch it.
But in the meantime, you can head over to networkawesome.com and watch Clara Rockmore amongst other luminaries doing their things. I'm just trying to think, where is it? She used 1911, virtuoso performer of the theremin, blah, 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 blah. She was a child prodigy on the violin and entered the Imperial Conservatory of St. Petersburg at the age of 5. Wow. Let me see. I'm speed reading, so I'll probably get all of these facts wrong.
She plays a bit like a violinist.
Yes.
In the way that it's performed.
Wow. Yes. Anyway, I was just zoning out there reading that, but she had special theremin tailored by Leon Theremin himself to meet her unique requirements. Could you imagine that? I mean, no, like this. I can imagine her being quite forceful on that. I'm sure she was a lovely lady, and it's clear that she could certainly play. It always strikes me though when you hear the theremin. And there's this sort of air of seriousness and then this sort of horrible natty sound sort of comes out of it. It just seems a shame that it's not richer somehow and more kind of tonally satisfying. I don't know. Is that
I
something?
think it's quite an emotive instrument.
It
I'll tell
sounds
you
like a
what, believe it or
stylophone.
not, yeah, a stylophone with no fixed pitch intervals. It's really hard to play. I found it really hard. I thought it was going to be easy, and then all of a sudden it was like, my ear's not that good, is it?
Have you ever tried play one, Rich?
Absolutely.
Have you got it? Have you got it in you? Can you nail it, or is it very difficult? I've never tried it, I don't think.
I don't have it nailed by a long shot, but I was able to get, with some practice, I was able to get out the melody to the. I did, as my senior piece for an electronic music class at Cornell University, I did a oompa version all on synths and theremin of Roll Out the Barrel. And I was able to get out Roll Out the Barrel and even take it up an octave for the last verse. And it was all very rousing. I had, I had a 4-track machine to work with, so I had 3 tracks of monophonic synths going blah 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 boo, and it came in like that.
That's fast thing to play, fast melody on a theremin.
How did you fare in the points on that particular piece? Did it get you your pass?
Oh, in terms of the grade?
Yeah.
I did very well.
Excellent. I wouldn't have expected anything less, to be honest, Rich. But I was just pausing there for comedic effect.
I don't know what he was expecting, but he sure as hell wasn't expecting that.
So I'm going to put that up on that music credit site now.
Really? Yeah. Are you gonna...
Right next to the credit where I played ukulele on a Tiny Tim album.
Wow. I'm just trying to think if I can. I know I haven't got I can't type on. I haven't got a
Poor
keyboard.
old Tiny never knew. There's a lot of that never knew stuff. You see, now that's where you get into the gray area with the credits. Is what about where we sent the guy home and I replayed everything he just did in the podcast?
Yeah. Bad move.
Yeah, that's not going to get you a lot. Well, it would get you work from people who knew, and probably from the guy you replaced all the stuff for, who thought you made him sound great.
To this day, I promise you, they don't know.
Right. That's pretty. Some pretty major achievement.
I love it.
I wonder if I ever get credited for the S900 flute solo I played on a jazz funk EP I produced in the 90s.
Oh dear! I got told off for crediting somebody once. There was a band that their names must never be mentioned. Gave us some sounds for the Emtron, and I credited them early on, and it caused all sorts of a ruckus.
Oh dear!
Because it was seen as some kind of alliance, and it wasn't. There you go. I thought I was, credits. Yeah, help everybody out. Name check everybody. Oops.
There's a valuable lesson there somewhere. So does that mean what I should probably do now, rather than kind of outroduce you all, I should just cut the stream dead without saying anything to anybody?
That's enough from me.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm Nick Batt. Goodbye.
It's like that Bambi.
There we go. There's my lower
Godzilla.
third there. That's me. That is.
The foot of Godzilla comes crashing down after 10 seconds of peace and tranquility.
Yes, very Monty Python. Anyway, but that does, in fact, seem like a good time to stop. And because we've also covered all the topics, and I have nothing further to say about any of it. And I've got to now. Actually, what I'm doing now is I'm heading off to see Howard Jones in Bristol, who's playing tonight at the O2 Academy as part of his Humans Lib and Dream Interaction tour. They're doing the 2 albums in their entirety. Robbie Bronneman, who's done some video stuff for us before, invited us over to sort of say, do you want to do a bit of a rig rundown? So I'm hoping to get there in time, because they're starting early, because they've got 2 albums to get through. So I will be basically leaping into a fast car to try and get there and park and get some content. So look forward to that. And if you want to catch them anywhere else, they're playing tonight. Tomorrow's Sheffield. Day after, 13th is Liverpool, 14th is Birmingham, 17th Newcastle, 18th Glasgow, Bournemouth on the 20th, and London in the 21st at Shepherd's Bush Empire, where you can get kind of VIP package dates stuff. And it's all O2 stuff, so I'm guessing there's probably a tie-up with the promoter. So I'll let you know how it goes next week. And what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, also... in a couple of weeks, we're going to have Susie Conrad on, who is was the UK winner of the Boss Looping Championships. She's not a beatboxer, but she's a kind of Katie Tunstall style of play. I'm sure she'd hate me for saying that, but in terms of she plays and she sings and she layers things up and does loop, and it's really, really good. So she's going to come in and do a couple of numbers for us. I'm not going to attempt that live because I feel a little bit nervous about that, but we'll do a rig rundown with her and she'll break something apart. So hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll have that online. So anyway, I want to say thank you very much to my guests. We have Mr. Rich Hilton over there in Connecticut, who, and I'm guessing that car must be the driver of your limousine must be getting very impatient to whisk you off to make some hits now.
No, I fed him well, and he's out there chilling. Actually, he's downstairs.
Excellent. Well, it's good to know you treat your people so well, Rich. And Hiltonius.com, thanks very much for joining us. I very much enjoyed that. And also, we got Dave Spiers, GForceSoftware.com, right there in the building with me, backed by the Jupiter and the rather... I did try and put a gel across that light, but it's still a bit yellow, isn't it? It's not quite the skin tone I was hoping for. But fairly soon, we'll figure out how to get it all in lovely HD for everybody. But anyway, that was Sonic Talk number 261 of all things. And it's a wrap. Thank you very much.
And I'll give you £5 if when you get introduced to Howard Jones, you say, like to get to know you well.